Good morning, everybody. I'm Go Vira Go Home, and welcome to the Sunday Brunch Kit Builds. Um, every Sunday we show up and I build a kit. I do some graffiti, some weathering, maybe work on the layout. Today, I'm continuing on with the work that I'm doing on my paper mill, and basically, I've been kind of chipping away at it for the past month, just kind of solidifying and making sure that everything is where I want it to be, and adding a lot of detail to the paper mill in general. And I'll show you some of the stuff that I've been working on. But the main focus recently has been the craft mill, the craft building. And that's basically, well, depending on what type of paper mill you're doing, for the mill, it's like where they do the pulp and whatnot, and all the chemicals are added and all that. So I have basically been working on that, and I'm going to kind of show you roughly what I got so far. Some of it's not glued together, so I've got to be very careful. And all my buildings are backdrop buildings for this series because they're pretty big and they take up a lot of space. So we got the tanks up there. I added some blue striping, very sharp, and I've got some pipes up there as well, and there's a little bit of detail on those. Again, nothing is really weathered yet, but I'll be working on this today to kind of get it further along. Also, coming out of the building, I've got, or coming out or going in, however you want to describe it, I've got some conveyors, and I did this very nice blue color because taking a look at a lot of the like paper mills, I guess in Ontario, and I guess there's some out in BC as well. But some of them have very plain looking buildings, like whether it's white or cream colored. And then there was a couple that have blue trimmings and blue buildings and something like this here, right? Like the conveyor is blue on the top. And then you've got, it goes into your part that goes underground here. The conveyor just connects to it. And then, so I've got a couple extra conveyors here that I do need to paint as well. That's one of them. And then I'm going to want to weather them as well. I've got more trimmings, and I've got like a stair set here that needs to be painted a little bit better. And stairs with a cage that goes on the front of the building. It's mostly a lot of detail stuff. At the other end of the paper mill, I've got this here. I have it all together in almost like a modular type form because it's all on a flat piece and none of it's glued down, and of course it's all falling apart. But it goes like this. Okay. Now I've been kind of working on this, and I'm going to show you how I kind of made it look like that because I didn't want it to be all one color, right? So I have it where it was a metal structure, and then the paint is wearing off, right? So the paint, which is just the green color, you wear that down, and then you see the silver metal structure underneath a little bit. So I've been kind of weathering it in that sense, and I'll show you guys how I'm kind of getting that look. And again, just chipping away. It's another thing that I'm chipping away at, and hopefully finishing some of these soon because it's a lot of work. But yeah, that's one of my most recent ones there. Kind of see the paint just kind of leaving the actual structure, and all that is sanding it in certain ways, and I'm using actual sandpaper to remove some of the green paint, and then I go over it with like a silver in those areas, and I kind of blend them together, sanding it down a bit, and it makes it look almost as if the paint is worn off in certain areas. So that's my little trick for that. But yeah, I still want to do more weathering to it, add a bit of rust and whatnot. So I'll be chipping away at that. And of course, I got more trees done. You know, it's the weather's been kind of weird. Like I'll get a random day where it's super nice, so I'll go out and I'll spray the trees, and then it gives me about, I think I get about 11 or 12 done at one time. But I've got another 11 or 12 that are ready to go. So if I have time near the end of the show, before I let you guys go, I might do a few more trees to add to my layout. But first, I want to say hi to everybody. James got the cookie. And hey, John. And Mike HO Trains. And John and Wigwag. And Brian. How's it going, Brian? Lloyd. And another John. Anthony. Bub031. How's it going? Almar. And Dave. And Lee. Tim. Hey, Tim. And Mark. Cool. Okay. Well, so yeah, so what I can do is I can put a link in the chat here, and in typical Sunday brunch fashion, and if anybody does want to join, I think Tim wants to join. And we will hang out. I'm going to work on my stuff, and you can work on your stuff. There's so much stuff to do. This thing's never ending. So I did put the link in the chat there if anybody does want to join. When you pop up there, obviously I'll let you in. So there was a couple of key things that I needed to do with this main building. So I'm taking all the little detail stuff off so that I can do it. Okay. So there was two things I wanted to do on here first and foremost. So I'm just going to tilt this down so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. So you guys remember last week I took this was a door for a building, and it didn't have this, right? It was just, it's supposed to go over like a delivery door. But I cut this piece off of another one because I had two of them, and I made a portal that goes basically over this here to kind of clean that up, because that's real janky the way I cut that, and I just want to make it look a little bit cleaner by putting that over top of it. Anthony wants to know if I'm getting the new P42. Yes. Actually, my wife is getting it for me because my birthday is next month, and she came to me and she said, "What do you want for your birthday?" And I'm like, obviously a tie. And she's like, "No, you don't want a tie. What about a train?" And I'm like, I guess I have like a bunch, but if you have to get me another train, I'm not going to fight you on it. And she said, "Is there anything new that's come out?" And I'm like, "Is there?" A rail of the way on it. And she's like, "Okay, well, we'll order that next week." So I will most likely order that next week. And it should be here by the time I do because my birthday is on the 15th. So I will have it before then. So when I do my Third Rail Thursday, which should be on my P42, which I've never owned a P42. So the Renaissance and Love the Way. Yeah, I think they're doing two different versions of the Renaissance. They're doing the bluish one, and they're also doing the greenish one. I'd love the green one as well, but those aren't delivered yet. Oh, there we go. We got.
Here I am. Sorry, I'm trying. I can't find a good spot to put my camera.
The show. How's it going, Tim?
I'm good. How are you? If I sound like I'm shouting, it's because it's crazy loud in here.
All good. It happens. Good. Yeah, no, that happens. Tell us where you are and what you're doing.
Okay, here. Am I able to switch my camera around? Oh, no. Okay, I don't know I can't switch my camera around to talk to you guys, but I'm at the Port Hope show in Port Hope. This is my setup here. I got some cars for sale.
Here, let me go full screen for a second. Bear with me.
Oh, okay, yeah. So we got some cars for sale. Here's my rotating display that shows the same scene in 2 decades. Basically just an excuse to show off some graffiti.
Do you need an excuse to show off graffiti?
Not really, no. But yeah, and then today I'm working on a bunch of stuff. I basically haven't stopped working on a bunch of stuff. And so I started working on some N scale because I'm completely sold out of N scale stuff now. I have plenty of HO to work on, as you guys have seen.
Wow, that's cool.
But yeah, and then I have this one here that I was working on as well.
Is that odd? Does that normally happen? Running out of N scale?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, I typically only had a couple of each scale, but then I ended up getting a big lot of HO scale available so that I could stock up on my Etsy store. But I didn't do the same thing with N scale, so I ran out. And now, yesterday I bought a few more to sell, so hopefully those will be finished soon. Because I got to keep everybody happy, right? I can't just keep the HO guys happy.
And I saw a sign that said...
Sorry?
That's true. That's true. You got to be fair. I saw a sign that you can win something. What's that all about?
Oh yeah. Here comes some more shaky cam. Hang on 1 second. Sorry, excuse me. So that's this guy. That's the Otter Valley car that I did a video about.
Okay, yeah.
So basically just trying to get people interested so that they can win it.
And for the people watching, how can they win?
Yes. You're just feeding me my lines, aren't you? Thank you, Chris. So if you go to my channel and you look up
I'm sorry.
this video, you'll see this thumbnail. That's the video where I paint this car, and in the description of that video is all the details for the giveaway.
Nice.
Yeah. And then it's
basically
both sides,
open
obviously.
to anyone. They just gotta subscribe.
There you go. That's the other side. It's an awesome car. It's the Otter Valley.
Very cool.
The Otter Valley limited run of Intermountain auto racks. And I'd put the total value of the car, now that it's painted, I'd say it's like a $200 to $250 car that I'm giving away. So.
Oh yeah, because those are already like high 90s, $100, I think. For one of those. So you put a lot of work into it.
And then this is my N-scale business card display. N-scale gondola.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's really cool.
But yeah, that's where I'm at, man.
What else do you have going on there today?
What are you working on?
Just a paper mill, run-of-the-mill paper mill.
Run-of-the-mill paper mill?
Mark is coming over in a week or two, so I gotta set up everything to impress him.
Yeah. Gotta impress Mark. He's hard to please, that guy.
Yeah. Oh, is he ever? He'll come over and he'll say, "That's not prototypical. That's not prototypical." The guy's a pro, but like, what can you do, right?
He's just a grouch. That's all I can say. He's just an all-around grouchy guy, you know?
I want switching lists, my own throttle and candy. Strictly just green M&Ms, if I remember correctly. Only only the green ones. If he finds any blues in there, he loses it.
For some reason, I can't see the chat and also see the screen at the same time. That's strange. Oh well. So if you guys are talking to me, I'm sorry, but I can't see it.
Half and 2 lines. Half and 2 lines. Sorry, if I'm quiet, it's because I'm silently measuring stuff. I'm putting roofing onto this building here, and I have to cut this grip tape so that it fits really nice, and I don't have to like shave too much off because I don't like to waste grip tape because I go through it like crazy.
That's just your regular masking tape?
No, this is grip tape, like from a skateboard.
Oh, grip tape. Oh, sorry. Sorry, it's hard to hear, man. It's really loud here.
All good.
You don't realize how loud a show gets until the end of the day when everybody shuts down and it's just completely silent.
So what other shows do you do besides Port Home?
This is the only one I've done so far this year, to be honest. I cut back a bit because life was hectic and crazy and such.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna probably reevaluate for next year and see. But the most I've done in 1 year, I think I did 4. I did this one, and I did Belleville, Bowmanville, and Whitby. They're all fairly local shows. I haven't really ventured too far outside of what I know, because it's a big risk if you're going super far to a show that you've never been to, because it's a big expense, right? So if you don't break even at least, then it's a lot of money down the drain, right?
Yeah.
But we'll see. I've had a lot of people invite me to different shows. So probably next year.
That's true.
I'll go to a few more. And then the other thing too is like, it's a lot to leave. It's a lot to leave the young kids at home for the weekend with just their mom, and she's holding it down on her own, you know? I can't do that to her every other weekend for the whole winter, right?
I mean, you could, but you'd hear about it.
Yeah, I'd never stop hearing about it. And also, I
know I would.
Whether I hear about it or not, I can't do that to her. I mean, I love my kids, don't get me wrong.
No,
man.
It's true. It's true.
They're a lot.
That's where all our energy goes, right? Like,
yeah.
You know, I feel like I have no energy most of the time because they took it all. So it happens though.
So I met a couple of people yesterday that are
That third rail
subscribers.
Thursday, but the following week.
Sorry.
We're over on your channel, which should be the live.
Sorry.
I believe.
Yeah. So not this coming Thursday, but next is my turn, right?
I was saying this the 6th or the 7th. I can't remember what Thursday it is, but
yeah,
you're going live, right?
That'll be my birthday show.
Any plans for that?
Nothing so far. My all my energy was going into getting ready for this show, so I haven't really thought too much ahead for Third Rail Thursday yet. I'll figure something out. I picked up some stuff for myself at the show this weekend, so I might work on some of that.
You usually.
Sorry?
Oh, cool. What type of stuff have you purchased?
I got some. I can show you. Here, hang on one second.
Show and tell.
I literally I just look for stuff that's good quality and a good price. I don't like these don't have boxes, so they were a really good price, but they're well done. They're in good shape. And I got two of them. They're slightly different colors, but I assume they make it like that. And also I can weather them both because that's what I do. And then they'll probably kind of even themselves out a little bit, right? And I also got a pair of these hoppers that are upside down, but I can fix that. That's just how they came out of the box. They're Lackawanna, which I thought is fun because I'm a fan of The Office, and The Office takes place in Lackawanna County. I'm not modeling anywhere specific, especially not Pennsylvania, but I thought they were kind of cool. They're in good shape, and they're a nice canvas. And then this truck is gorgeous. And yes, that's how much I paid for it. So I couldn't say no.
That's not a bad price.
That's a fantastic price. Those are typically $10 to $15 at least. And then I also picked this up. A intermodal crane, but it's broken. But all the pieces are there. It's just slightly like, it's almost like the glue just let go in a few places.
Ooh.
So I'm going to fix it up. But Buddy just tossed it in when I bought all that stuff. So you can't go wrong there.
Oh, wow. Hey, that works.
Because I love it. I love intermodal.
The price is right.
I love intermodal. And then there was another guy. So years ago, when I first planned on expanding my layout at my old house, before I moved and all of that fun stuff, before I decided to do the other layout and then changed my mind to do another layout, I bought a bunch of track from a guy, and he said to me when he sold it, he said, I have a bunch of stuff that I can't find anymore. I'm getting out of the hobby completely, but I can't find it. Otherwise I would have brought it to see if you were interested. And I said, oh, well, that's too bad, whatever. Carried on with my life. And now that was probably about 2 years ago now, right? And this guy, he found it, and he tracked it all down. Or sorry, he found it all, and he tracked me down rather by finding my YouTube channel and everything. And he found out I was going to be at the Port Hope show, and he came, and he just gave it all to me. I mean, it's not a ton of stuff, and I haven't even truthfully gone through it all. But we got a CPF unit, which I might not ever run because it's not my era or my road name, but it's still cool. Same one in Santa Fe. Oh, I'm showing you. Same one in Santa Fe. I was looking at the wrong screen. Got a little caboose, which I might park somewhere. Maybe a little, like, you know how you see caboose parked in like the weeds or something. Some little tank cars. Oh, some little tank cars. A nice little box car, older era, but you never know. I might use it. I might graffiti it, whatever. And then a tank car, which I love. I have a bunch of these already. And then the pièce de résistance. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh.
I never.
Is that just
I
the
never
shell, or is that the
planned.
whole thing?
It's just this. I never planned on having Go Transit, but now it's like, oh, okay, I'm obligated now to at least get a couple cars.
You owe it to yourself.
Yeah. So now I'm not in a rush.
Well, that's pretty cool though.
I'm not in a rush to get Go Transit cars anytime soon, but if I do find the right deal, I'll pick them up. And I mean, I don't even know if any of those.
They're not cheap.
No. I've thought about just redecorating a different bi-level. It doesn't have to be super prototypical or anything like that for me.
Well, even because that's an F40, they pulled both the single level and the bi-level, so you have a little bit more option there too.
That's true. But the single level's way too old for my era.
Is it?
Oh yeah.
That'd be pushing.
When did they run the single level? That was decades ago now.
Yeah, I think that was around like early 80s.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's far too.
Definitely
that's
the
far
early
too.
80s. But that's still cool to be able to find a lot of really neat stuff at the show. I know some people go to shows and they don't find anything. So
there's tons of great stuff here, to be honest. I would have spent more if I had more to spend. I mean,
it's better to put a limit on it then, eh?
Some of the N scale that I bought, I would have kept for myself, but it's like I actually need some N scale inventory, so I had to tell myself, no, this is not for you.
So how do you decide what you keep and what you sell?
This was pretty easy because I bought 8 N scale cars, and I'm keeping 4 of them, and the way I picked it was I kept the 4 that don't have boxes. Because for me, I want the boxes to resell for multiple reasons that I don't even need to explain. It just makes sense, right? If you're buying a car, you're going to want it in a box.
That's fair.
If I'm shipping a car, you're going to want it in a box,
yes.
Right? So, so yeah, it was pretty straightforward. This came in a box. I would love to keep this because it's CN and it's just a regular generic box car. And I love that. And there's a second generic CN box car, a little newer. That's a Fox Valley too. That's a
that was nice too. Yeah.
car. And then a couple of hoppers. I'm not a CP guy, but I would still gladly put that on my layout. Same with the New York Central. I'm not a New York Central guy either, but you see this kind of stuff all over because they just use it to get anywhere,
Yeah.
you know?
Yep. Oh yeah. That's
But
cool.
yeah, I would have happily kept any of those four. And to be honest, I like them more than the four that I'm keeping. But because of the boxes, it makes more sense for me to sell the ones that have boxes. And the boxes match them too.
Yeah.
Like I can't. Otherwise, I would swap them out and just sell the other ones in random boxes. But I can't do that, man. I am ethical.
Yeah. Got standards.
I have standards. That's right. Taylor would be proud.
Yeah, I usually prefer having a box with it. I think most people would agree that having the original box is usually the way to go. Especially if you're a collector of sorts.
I didn't keep a lot of my boxes from when I first started buying cars. I kept all my locomotive boxes, but I didn't keep all my rolling stock boxes. And then
Yeah.
it's funny, I was going through some stuff in my parents' basement because they were telling me that I left some stuff there. And so I went down and I was having a look. Turns out I have a giant box of empty N-scale boxes. But I didn't keep any of the inserts. I just kept the plastic shells because I liked those little containers to keep stuff in. So I have a big box of N-scale boxes, but they're not. I'd never be able to find again like what car goes to what box. It's just funny that I thought I got rid of them.
Are you just referring to like
I still have them. Sorry?
Are you referring to the jewel cases?
Yeah.
Or whatever they call them?
Yeah, I love that style of box. I wish that HO did the same thing. They're great. They stack so nicely and they're so resilient.
That's true. Yeah, they do stack really nice.
There's a couple companies that do them in HO, but it's not uniform, right? It's not like in N scale, it's literally everybody.
Yeah.
I can't even see the chat. Dave, you're right. My computer died.
So is the show like all weekend long or is it just today?
Sorry? Yeah, it's Saturday and Sunday.
Is the show just Saturday and Sunday? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's all day yesterday.
Where is it being held? Like I know you said it's in Port Hope.
It's at the Port Hope Town Park Recreation Center. So what's cool about that is they've just expanded. Like the rec center just expanded, right? And they added like 3 or 4 more like multi-purpose rooms, and they're huge. They're way bigger than the multi-purpose room that was already here. And we've always used one of the multi-purpose rooms and the gym. And now we have more multi-purpose rooms that we can rent. So we got one more this year and filled it with vendors. So it's a much bigger show than it's ever been. And there's talk of maybe next year even getting another one. Who knows? It's it's in the conversation, so it might even be even bigger next year, depending on the interest that they get from vendors and exhibitors, right? But basically, there's enough room here to have a good size show and room to grow. So it's a great show to be at for
Is
sure.
there any big names there? Like,
As
is like
far as
Rapido there
retail,
or anything showing off anything?
no, it's honestly it's a lot of used, a lot of consignment. But honestly, that's my favorite thing about shows is finding good deals on well taken care of used stuff. And you can always find something.
Yeah.
NMRA is here, which is pretty cool. Operation Lifesaver is here. I know that's
Oh, nice.
like for model railroaders, that's not a huge deal, but it's still cool to see they're giving out stuff to the kids and teaching about rail safety and all that kind of stuff. I did a video about it last year. But every year for the past few years, this show has opened up to the public, or sorry, not to the public, but opened up an hour early on the Sunday for Autism Ontario, so that kids on the spectrum can come in an hour early and have a much quieter experience having a look at the trains. And
well, that's nice of them to do that.
That's a pretty cool thing. I don't know that any other club does anything like that, but it's like good for them, you know?
Yeah. That's cool. So how often do they do this setup? Is this a once a year thing?
Yeah, it's once a year, so it's this weekend, like whatever this weekend is, like closest, the last weekend of February. Thank you. My sources say it's the last weekend of February every year.
That's cool. I'll have to come out sometime because I've never been, and I always complain that there's no shows that are decent and local. I mean, it's still a bit of a drive for me to get to Port Hope, but
yeah, but it's not too bad.
It's not too bad.
I actually think there's a layout here from Ottawa, if I'm not mistaken. Wait, no, never mind. I'm wrong. Disregard that. I thought that there was, but I was wrong.
That's all.
But I'll tell you what, though, Chris, really I am going to jump off, though, because I'm using my data.
So how far are you on your layout now?
I just finished drywall, so I have to paint.
Yeah.
And once I paint, then I can officially start actually putting my office back together and putting bench work up. So I'm no farther along than I was when you first saw me build those 2 modules and lay track. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
drywall.
I had to put that on pause,
sucks.
Because I was kind of putting the cart before the horse, doing the layout before I did any drywall, and so now I'm actually doing drywall, and then I can carry on from there. But I am gonna jump off, though, Chris, because I'm using my data, so I don't want to be too much longer.
Oh, okay.
But I just thought I'd pop in and say hello.
I appreciate you coming up. And
no worries.
Absolutely.
No worries.
Well, you're always welcome.
It doesn't always line up, but I thought, hey, I'm here and I'm doing what I would do if I was live with you anyway. So I might as well just jump on for a second. If the internet connection was any better here, I would have went live
That's
this
true.
weekend. But
That's true. Very true.
it's not great. But yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, that doesn't always pan out, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Anytime, anytime.
it's a small
We're
town
just
internet
hanging
connection, and
out,
it's also in a valley.
working on stuff. So,
Alrighty, well, I'm gonna jump off though. Have a good one,
ooh,
and remember, they make it like that.
see you, Tim. That was Tim from They Make It Like That. Cool guy. He inspires me to do a lot of graffiti and whatnot. The whole other side is one aspect that if you're doing a modern layout, that you see it in the real world. So in certain cases, it's good to emulate that. In your roof piece here, I got the grip. You can see the grip on there. It's very rough. And then I've got the tanks, and I just added the piping there, which is pretty cool. It's a nice detail. This part here you can technically put anywhere. It does come with its own little platform. I've often seen it on top of the other building. It's a brick building, but I wanted to represent the tanks on this building here without taking up a lot of space, and it just fit. It fit nicely here. So this will go right on here, and I've got the little light there. Can't really see it. There you go. Right above the door, and nothing's blocking that, so that's good too. And I'll be able to put that in there, and yeah, it should look good. So I just glued the piping down there. I want to keep it loose at the bottom because this has to go up against here. So I'm just going to keep that loose for now. But I like how that looks, and the yellow is very nice and it stands out really well. I'm sure once I weather it a bit more, it won't look as bright, but that's another project for another day. Let's see. I know I still got to do these, so I might as well do that. I had to do a nice blue. It's a very nice blue, but I had to do 2 coats, unfortunately, because it doesn't adhere all that well. Oh, John Train is also at the same show as Tim. Well, that's cool. John, go say hi to Tim. Or Tim, go say hi to John. And yeah, I know I was talking about it last week because of the whole Beaver Lumber decals. But yeah, I have a website now, and I'm in contact with the gentleman in regards to those Beaver Lumber decals, which is really cool because he's got a couple of different ones, different sizes to do different types of trucks, which is really cool. So I'm gonna order some, and I gotta find some trucks, and I might have to do some custom trucks for my Beaver Lumber. Might do one where it's out on the road driving somewhere, and then I can do a couple for the actual little pickup station, the just right beside the warehouse there. Because I have the one. I wouldn't mind a couple more. Well, John, I hope you're having a good show there. It sounds like Tim's having a blast. So that'll be, yeah, it sounds like it's a good show. I might have to put that on my list for next year. I only had so many down for this year, so, and because of work and whatnot, it's difficult. It's probably going to be even more difficult come February, but I'll talk about that on Thursday. Sorry, when did it's no, it's going to become more difficult in April. April is when it becomes more and more difficult. Either way. So this blue, just so you know what blue I'm using, it's tropical blue. Yep. It's the same blue that I used along the edging here and of course on this piece here on the little portal. And I like to have things match. Like this was built at the same time as the factory, and this is the paint that they used to do that. And one of these is going over track, so I'm probably going to have to put some indicators or something to let people know that it's there. Maybe like a flashing light of some sort or some signage. But that'll come after. But it's going to be up high, so even if you've got an auto rack or something, you'll still be able to go underneath. And I'm hoping to get a new computer by the end of March as well. It's on my list. There's going to be a few things coming down the pipe in March, so going to make a few changes. I need a bigger desk too. Like this is fine and all. I like this, but it's like this half has all my weathering and like, my paintbrush cans and all that, but it's still not that much room, especially when I'm working on some bigger stuff. I know I could probably clean it off, but as soon as I'm working on a kit, it's like depending on the size of the kit, I run out of room very easily. So it'd be nice to have a little bit bigger of a ordeal going on here. Yeah, I feel like I've been putting a lot of work into this paper mill recently, more so than other times. I think it's because I'll work on something until I get frustrated with it or I can't go any further with it for whatever reason, whether it's, I gotta do a bit of research or I have to get parts for it or you know, I haven't really settled on what I want to do, but it's how I'm going to implement it that, usually takes a bit more time. Like I had a bunch of buildings set up for it, and then I ended up removing some of those buildings because it was too crowded. And it's not until you're using the area and you have some friends over to try it out and say, what did you think of this? Or you just stand back and kind of observe. I'm a visual learner, so whenever I'm doing things, it's like, I have to pay attention to stuff like that. And having paper mill, I notice things get moved around or shifted, and it's not necessarily that well, it wasn't glued down, but more or less that there was too much going on. In some cases, less is more, and I prefer putting my buildings as backdrop buildings because you don't really have to model the full building. And in some cases, the scale of the building, I mean, you would need much more space. And I don't like to take up all my space with the building, but I need to have representation of it on the layout, even if it's just the pickup and delivery side of the building. But buildings are important. So when it comes to doing something like this, I'll put the buildings, and then if I have to remove any of the buildings, then I will, or shuffle them around to see what works better. And I think I'm at a spot now where the paper mill itself is a lot better. So I'm going to be implementing a lot more in that area. And I'm more or less finalizing things. And that's why I can do things like adding detail parts, and, I'm doing the weathering in that area as well. So I can, make it look more like a completed scene. So there's that. But I think I've been working on that for, last couple of months, just kind of chipping away at it, and between that and doing all the trees. Canadian Locomotive Logistics, how's it going? That's another thing. Doing videos as well. I'm still working with the camera car and doing some edits to see what I can do. Also, I want to go to the local club here and see if I can do something there with it as well. That way I can make the video a little bit longer, and then you get to see things as well that are not necessarily just my layout. So I'll have to see if I can do that. But I don't think that their setup is until at least March 16th. So I have to wait. And then as well, I've been working a lot with the doing my roster update. I know you guys have seen some of my shorts, which I take clips from that video that isn't done yet, and I kind of post a little bit of a short with some fun music, and that will, that'll just be like the little highlights or samples, if you will, of what you'll see once the video is done. Almost like a sneak preview. Almost. In March, I don't know if I've formally announced it. I know that Trackside Mike and myself have conversed about it, but we're planning on doing an ITLA kit, and we're going to be doing that in March at some point. I haven't ordered my kit yet, but if it's something that you're interested in, we're doing, I think I have the name of it here. Give me 1 second. I will show you the kit because I'm pretty sure I have a picture of it and everything. Yeah, it is called Full Flat HO Scale York. That's what it looks like there. And there we go. I think that's such a neat looking kit, and there's a couple of extra features with it, like the detailing parts that are going down the side there, like the venting and whatnot. Very cool. Yeah, just an overall cool looking building, I think. And you can even add, because there's a dock or a bay door there, where you can add an inside dock to it. So that'll be cool to do. I already have a place picked out for it. And the kit itself is modular, which is neat because my space will be different than your space. And my kit will also look different from your kit. So that's what makes it a great choice. Also, the detail and whatnot that ITLA puts into their kits. Oh, you're getting the full building. Oh, dang. Yeah, that's going to be quite the kit. For me, in the space that I'm putting it in, it's I only have enough space for the flat kit. So I also have to talk to Nick still and see when he will be available to come on the show and share his expertise with us and talk about the kits and whatnot and show off some of the new kits and all that. Okay, I gotta let that dry because I gotta do a second coat on that. Still have another one to do, but no rush. Yeah, Nick's really cool, and I know I've often talked about him, but there's also I have a live that I did. It was either the beginning of 2020 or 2021. I think it was early 2021, and I put together a virtual train show. It's called the Great Canadian Train Show, something like that, or Virtual Trains Canada. There you go. So you should be able to find that in my playlists there, Virtual Trains Canada. And what I did was basically I had a few manufacturers that would join the live and they would show, new products and whatnot. then I would have different clubs or different layouts join at specific times and show off their clubs and talk about their clubs and layouts as well. Honestly, it was an amazing time, and it was a whole day event where I'm just here basically narrating it, and then obviously people would join the live that I have scheduled to join, and yeah, it was fun. So if you did miss it, go take a look, because I don't know, because obviously when we talk about 2020, we all know what I'm referring to, and hubs and how there wasn't shows going on because of social distancing and all that. So coming up with that to do like a virtual train show that you can watch live without leaving your home, I felt was kind of neat. I don't know if anybody else has done that, but I'm sure it's not an original idea, especially if I came up with it. But it was definitely fun to do, and especially for those who can't even leave their home now, just to be able to go to a show without having to leave your house is very convenient. I mean, yeah, you don't get to buy anything, but at least you can see the new product and whatnot and hear right from the manufacturers that are talking about their products. And I know I often share like new products and new announcements and whatnot and things that I'm excited for, but I'm sure that I don't touch on everything. There's stuff I miss, right? There's a lot to, there's a lot to follow, and it's tough sometimes, but I try to do my best to cover everything. Do you guys know that Atlas is doing a run of coil cars? And in the coil cars, they're actually doing CN coil cars. They're GT, but there's the CN.CA coil cars. So I'm very excited because I have a steel mill and I coil cars. And well, I really just want CN ones. I know there's a lot of different ones out there and whatnot, but the next run is going to have quite a few ones like AOK and FURX. Some of the ones that I'm looking forward to, and of course the CN.CA ones as well. So I'm very excited to get some of those. They won't be out for a while though, so I don't got to worry. And I was looking at the shipping schedule for Rapido the other day, and I noticed that both the Dash 8 and the Jeep 9s are on their way. I think it says that they're in transfer or whatever they call it, where they're coming from the warehouse or the factory, I should say. So I'm like, what do I do? Because I wanted some of the Dash 8s, but also the Dash 9 or not the Dash 9, the GP9 looks really cool. And with the GP9 is like, you get the GP9, the Slug, Transit. Yeah, there you go. It's in transit. Hey, Mike. So both the Jeep 9 and the Dash 8 are in transit, and I'm like, what do I do? Because I had one of the original Dash 8s when they did the Prime Mover series, and for a $200 sound locomotive, it was amazing. It was such a great puller, and I really liked it. But for some reason, I don't know why, but I had gotten the CN. No, I got the North American paint scheme for CN. So I'll probably end up getting the zebra. I should have got the zebra, but I didn't get the zebra. That's my bad. Just have to wait and see what happens. Because that'd be kind of weird if they put them all out at once. That'll bankrupt people. Mike ordered 2 GP9s, no slug. So are you getting the zebras or are you getting the noodle? Because that was a tough call. I wouldn't mind 2 zebras because the slug only really ran with the noodle. So you can get 2 noodles and a slug and have a nice, 3 loco train. But also having 2 zebras look really nice together, and it'll work really, really well. Especially if you have like a small industry that you're switching out and whatnot with some heavier cars. I do have a lot of mainline running stuff now, and I do need more smaller units. So I don't know, maybe the Jeep 9 is the way to go. Thing is that the Jeep 9 that comes with the slug, it has the switching mode and the belt pack noises and whatnot, and I don't know if that's going to be the same feature on the Zebra, especially with all the strobe lights that are on the slug and whatnot. And I'm like, oh, it looks so cool. So I don't know. It's such a tough call. Don't have much time left to figure it out, see which one I want, but hopefully it works out. Dave ordered just one with the slug. Might get one more. I would like to get a slug still. Think about it. So they don't sell the slug by itself, and that's what kind of gets me, like, yeah, they'd only make so many slugs, and what do you do when you have slugs left over? So any slug you get has to go with a logo. So that's why they're not selling it individually. But again, it only really ran with the noodle, so that's why they offer the noodle with the slug. Which is definitely understandable, right? They don't want to be sitting on all these slugs. So Willow Creek, how's it going? No. Yeah, and I'm gonna get the P42. I've never owned a P42 before because I think they're ugly. That's just me. But even listening to actual, you don't even like driving it. They said it's a garbage locomotive, but I do collect the Via stuff, so I kind of have to now. Even if I just get the one, you know, just to say, yes, I have one. Will I use it? Probably. I've got LRC cars, so I can do it. Yeah, there's a lot of cool things coming down the pipe, you know, as well as, you know, yeah, the Jeep 9 and the Dash 8. If you've been thinking about a Dash 8 and you're very on the fence about it, I say do it because yeah, they are really, really, really nice. Especially with the fact that this time they're highly detailed, as opposed to the Prime Mover where it's just a very basic, not as detailed shell, but it had sound to it. But yeah, I think you should do it. Their next run of Go cars are coming in third quarter of this year. And here's something interesting, because I know it's been a topic in the past, and it kind of went away, and now it's coming back again. So CP, Canadian Pacific, you guys know that they have their orange locomotive that it's the Hapag Lloyd. I don't know how to say that. Hapag Lloyd. Either way, they also have an orange loco that is decorated for Every Child Life Matters. And Athearn unofficially announced that a while ago. I think the post was up for like 10-15 minutes, and then it was taken down. And then everyone's like, so what's that all about? You know, and they won't talk about it. They won't say anything about it. You know, they haven't said anything since. And then last night, I got an email from PWRS, because they always send out newsletters. I'm subscribed to all of these different newsletters just so I get, you know, the information then and there, you know, like pricing and all that stuff. And in the email, it's talking about the Every Child Life Matters logo. And then I go to the Athearn website, and it's on the website. So I'm like, is it back? Are they doing this again? Is it, you know, did they finally get the rights to it? Because I think that they didn't have the rights to it at the time. Kind of like with the whole Poppy unit. They're very bad for doing that. They'll post something and they'll say, "Oh, we're going to do this," and then they don't get the rights for it. They did that with Go Transit stuff like 6 years ago, and then I'm pretty sure they got in trouble for it because they never got the rights to do the Go Transit stuff, or Metrolinx, I should say, because it was the new Metrolinx paint scheme. And they put it out anyways. That's why the loco showed up way later than the cars did. They're trying to fly low under the radar, most likely. So that happened. But yeah, I just thought I'd mention that in case nobody had seen that, and you're interested in getting one of the Every Child Life Matters locos. I've seen it in real life a couple of times. I think I've caught it in Smiths Falls at least twice. It's usually at the end of the train. I've never seen it at the front. But it's always cool to see stuff like that in real time. Hey Scott, how's it going? Scott Rails. Okay, so I'm going to show you this thing here because I've been working on this, and I'm having fun with it because it's turning out really, really well. So this little thing here, it's almost like a air cleaner, and it goes right beside the building. So I added this fence around it. That's Walther's fence. You know, you have to put the posts in, you have to run your stringers, cut your fabric, and put that on there. So I did all that. I painted it black, and then there's this building here. Well, it's not a building; it's just an air cleaner thing. And I gotta still put this on there with the ladder for the stairs. Pretty sure it's got to go lower, like down to here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it goes there. And then I'm like, okay, well, let me step it up a bit. So I'm gonna add this in here. And then there's a pipe that comes off. I think it's in the back room right now because I had to paint the bottom of it. And then it goes up onto the roof and it adds the clean air into the building. So this is just outside of the paper mill there. And I think it's looking good so far. So I painted most of this black. And then over the black, I did it's like a hunter green or a forest green because I didn't like, some of the other colors. And I just wanted it to look like separate equipment. This equipment does not, it belongs to the paper mill, but the paper mill didn't make it. So they had this machinery brought in, and it just purifies the air. And then I'm like, well, okay, for weathering it, right? So if it starts like that, this is kind of what I did to it. And what you get basically is it's almost like a look where it was painted green on top of the metal, maybe using like an oil-based paint, right? Because that's what you use to paint metal. And then some of the areas the paint has worn off more so than others, and it leaves almost like a peeled look. I guess that's kind of what I'm going for. But yeah, I still have to add a bit of rust. You don't want it to be too rusty because then they'd have to, remove it. But if the paint is removed or the paint is chipping off or whatever, that doesn't matter. And then obviously my little safety ladder there with the cage. So I got to do this. I got to make these two things here look like this. And I've already kind of started with this. And I'll show you kind of how I do it. Because I have to paint, like I said, I spray painted it black as the undercoat. And then I did the green over top. And then where's my little piece of... I know it's here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's buried and everything. Okay. So I take my little piece of sandpaper, and in certain areas where I feel like it would wear a bit more, I just give it a little bit of a sanding, and you'll see that the paint just kind of comes off a little bit. And it does work. You just kind of, you have to give it a little bit. Be patient with it. And you don't want to sand it too much to the point where it's, you're going through the plastic at that point. Just enough to make it not look so flat. And then got this little silverish pen here. Now you could do the silver underneath and do like that, what I did with my bridge, where you put the baking soda on it, then you paint the green over the baking soda, and you do all that. But I didn't. I wanted to kind of just weather it in a different way. And then so obviously the silver's on there now. And now I'm just gonna kind of go over the silver a little bit. And there we go. So then I can come back and I can weather it normally, like with the powders and whatnot. I do have to weather this section, or sand it down a lot more, because it's the top. And there's so many ways you can do this. This is just the way I'm doing this. Just kind of gives it that kind of look to it. Now, I didn't worry about the inside here as much because this is right up against here, and you probably won't see it anyways. So there's that. Maybe the piping a bit here. Cool. I should have all this stuff hopefully done and set up on the layout by the time Mark comes next month. So I'm going to see what we can do about getting most of this done. It's quite a bit of work, you know. Whoop. Move those before they get broken or knocked around. Maybe if I do half of this, you'll be able to see the difference in it. And you'll be able to see almost like a before and after. What was the words I used? Air purifier? I'm pretty sure that's what I referred to it as. Whoops. Almost looks like that. So obviously, like, this half is not touched yet. So obviously most things look better when they're done, not when they're halfway done. I see too much here. even just lightening up this green a little bit, making it look a little bit rougher instead of it being super smooth. We'll add a little bit more of a look to it. Thanks, Willow Creek. I'm just trying different things there just to make it look, you know, a little bit. You can see right there, just kind of, so it doesn't look flat like all the other ones, you know. And before you ask me, no, I didn't see anybody do this online. This is just me doing this. Because I know a lot of people look for resources and whatnot, and unfortunately, it was me that just decided to do it like this. So if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then it's not a big deal. This effect would also look good on a, you know, those green boxes that you usually see down the road. Sometimes they're in front of your house or whatever. So I feel like this week's going to be a busy week. Got quite a few things on the go, but that happens sometimes. And today in general, I mean, besides doing this live, you know, I've got a few things that I'm still working on. And we've got GVO After Dark on Thursday. And I always look forward to that, so that'll be fun. And Mike and James are live tomorrow night, which is also fun. Yeah, there's a few other things coming down the pipe, so definitely want to hang out or hang around and stay tuned for that stuff. Need metal wheel sets. Yeah, I think even Bubs is waiting for a couple of wheel sets as well. I think it's like a box of wheels. He's supposed to come over at some point, and we have to change over all his potash cars to these different wheels. And he's got like 50 some odd cars, so it's going to be a day project for sure. Just switching out wheels. Thanks, Anthony. This is all done with sandpaper. And what is this? It's called a Bic marking, fine point permanent marker. You would never know that it's a marker that's on here. I do have like paint pens and whatnot as well, but the silver on this, it doesn't run or anything. It goes exactly where I need it to go. So that's why I'm using this. It's one spot. Also, next month I'm hoping to do the part on my layout, top of the layout, the where the chocolate factory goes, because I got to raise that land there, and obviously it takes a lot, right? There's a lot to it. So with most of that, because I'm raising the entire section with wood, I have to cut the wood outdoors, and if the weather's not good, then I'm not going to go cut the wood outside. More or less. So weather does play a factor into that, whether it gets done or not. Just got to cut a couple of 2x4s and jig out the area. And then I can basically place my paper, or not my paper mill. I'm looking at the paper mill and I'm thinking paper mill. Then I can basically place my chocolate factory and hopefully run tracks to it. So I've got the tracks running up my wall to the top level, and then I've got my bridge. I do have to do all the scenery stuff underneath the bridge before I can make that bridge permanent. But I'm out of plaster cloth, so I'm going to need to get some plaster cloth as well. Just kind of showing you. You see the difference because that's a solid green on the bottom half. On the top, you've kind of got the paint running away. Of course, I've got dirt all over my hands now because of this. All the paint coming off of here. Huh. So a good thing about this is that I only have to really do this side here and this side more or less. This side is facing a wall like this, and this one is facing another wall like this. So you'll never see the back or the side. Mind you, it's probably good to do all four sides, because if I ever need to relocate this in the future, at least it's already, all sides are done and I don't have to worry about that stuff. But I think that I'd be doing it in the exact same way, even if I had to move it again, because I like the concept of it, how I have it set up. Is there Via cars that goes with the P42? Athearn doesn't make Via cars. So with Via, the LRC locos, or not LRC locos, the LRC cars, you'll often see the push-pull situation with an F40 at one end and a P42 at the other, or two P42s. But yeah, it's normally what you're looking for are the LRC cars. They'll probably be really expensive because for some reason resellers like to jack up the price of those. So yeah, and there's none coming out in the next little bit that I'm aware of. But there's also the silver cars as well. The Streamline, or what are they called? The Bud coaches, yeah. So there's Bud cars, which are all silver Via passenger cars. they should be coming out within the next year or so. They were already announced. And you'll see P42s pulling either some of those or a mix of those and LRC cars together. I think they got to a point where, what was wrong with it? I can't remember what the reasoning was behind it, but they would have the silver cars and then they would add one LRC car just as a buffer car for some reason. Again, I don't really remember the reasoning why they did that, but it is a thing. And you'd want to look at Rapido for all those, but you could even get the silver. The Walthers makes a good Bud car, and they sell the Via Bud cars, and you can get those honestly anywhere at any time. It's something that they just always stock it, and you can honestly find those like everywhere. The other night on the news, they were mentioning that Via cars has to be upgraded. Yep, yeah. I'd watched that. James sent me that last night, but it was from CBC Radio or whatever, and or CTV News, something like that. Yeah, in real life, those cars they've probably seen better days. Because they've got the Charger and the Charger or the Venture cars, and that's their newest corridor fleet. But they don't have a new fleet for across Canada, and I think mostly it's gone unnoticed because they're not. I don't think that they're doing a lot across Canada stuff. I think that the prices are ridiculous, first off, but that might just be me. And what'll happen is that they'll eventually get new cars, but I don't know what or when. Because I don't think that the Charger would be good for across Canada. They need solid cars for that. Okay, I like that, and I want to add this walkway. Whoops. Okay, just want to. You say 3 Via concepts were all P42 with LRC coaches, but one was trailing a Bud build stainless. Yeah, I mean, that's the neat thing with via equipment is that you're going to see some really neat mixes out there, and it really depends on what they have available. A, B, time of day, and priority. Like, do they already have so many sold tickets, so they need to have so many seats or so many cars? Who's on the train? Do they need like more business cars or whatever? So you'll see like different sets all the time. And I worked it out when the LRC cars were announced. I went through the entire list and I said, okay, so if I get, a set of 3 green and then some of the blue and then some of the specialty wraps, I'm able to do certain combinations of cars with certain logos to emulate what I see in real life. And often when I do a video, and you guys see me do a video, and there's different LRC cars running together, it's usually because I saw a train. I'll even put the video of the train like right before it, and then I do a little video that matches it. Have a good one. So I'm just gluing this walkway on here, and then I can kind of continue on with it. I still got to do 2 more coats on these, which I can do at any time. And I'm going to have to paint the railings on here, and then I'm going to attach it on the top of my pipe thing, my tanks. Could probably do that here. I've got some yellow paint that I can do that with. Also, these little container things, I get these at the dollar store, and it's perfect for like if you have a lot of paints like this. Also good for mixing. Like I mix colors, and I've got like a whole pile here. I think I got about 8 or 9 of them that I set up for certain things. Like this here is my safety railing and whatnot. This here is obviously the blue. So you can pre-mix colors and whatnot, make an abundance of it, and then that way, if you have a whole industry, i.e. this one, so the yellow that's on these tanks will be the same as the yellow for the piping here and over there, et cetera, et cetera. And I can keep the continuity with certain things like that the same. I used to have an LRC locomotive. What was the number? I can't remember the number. But like I went through this whole long phase of collecting locomotives and cars and whatnot. And at one point, I sold a lot of it off. So that was part of that set that I had sold off, and I can't find them now. And when I do find an LRC locomotive, it's ridiculous. And of course, they want an arm and a leg for it. Would I like one? Absolutely. I've often mentioned that I want my LRC locomotive back because of the fact that, I got rid of it too soon. So If anybody sees one or knows somebody with an extra one, let them know that I need one. Like, hey, I know a guy. He could use an LRC locomotive. I also had one of the MP40 True Line Trains locomotives. It was only DC, but still, those go for quite a pretty penny now, if the person is willing to sell it. Sad to say, but a lot of those things where, if you're looking for a specific locomotive and whatnot, it's all right place and right time. And sometimes people aren't willing or ready to sell certain things, and you don't want to pressure them into selling it or whatever, but when they're ready and they know you want it, they'll let you know. And sometimes you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting for certain locomotives to pop up on eBay or whatever, and they never show. Well, I'm surprised that they haven't done a second run. Even with the F40 locomotives, like I know that I don't know if the right word is flooding the market, because I don't think that they flooded the market with them, but that was 7 years ago that the last run of F40s came out from Rapido. And I've been waiting for them to do their version of the Love the Way F40. I'm also waiting for Go Transit F40s, like an Acura one. Walthers did one, but it's not accurate, obviously, because it's a Walthers. It's not, it wasn't like a proto series or anything. It was like 20 years ago. But yeah, it would be nice to get a couple more F40s. And I know the Renaissance ones are very hard to find, and they're another one of those units that seem to be very pricey, like over $400 when you find them. And it's like, is that really necessary to be over $400? If you want it bad enough, right? But I mean, depending on how the tooling is, which I don't know how the tooling is, they could do another run of LRC locomotives. I don't know if there's a huge demand for it. A lot of people missed out on the first run, I'm sure. Does VIA run Amtrak equipment? Not that I've seen. I don't think I've ever seen that. There might have been something at some point where, you know, they were running something of theirs. I don't have any pictures or anything though to say for sure. You know, there's a couple of units that I've been asking for from Rapido, because I do send a lot of those, you know, requests for different locomotives. One of the ones that I can tell you that I did send for recently was the RS10. And if you know the RS10, because obviously they're really good at all their RS units, you know, RS18, RS18U, RS11, RS, what was the other one? I don't know. But they did American units, they did Canadian units. You know, they all look and sound amazing. But the RS10 specifically, there was one Via Rail unit that's an RS10. It was 8558, and I'm pretty sure it was just a yard loco or whatever that they had, and it's a one-off. However, Ontario Northland also had a couple of RS10s in the yellow chevron. So that's two road names. But who else owned the RS18? Who else used it? I can tell you CP Rail did. They had both the maroon with the script and the Pac-Man scheme as well. So, you know, also I'm pretty sure Jason wants or would need the RS10 Via Rail one, because obviously he likes his Via Rail, right? So that was one that I put in for. I know it's kind of an odd one, but they've been doing all these other RS units. I'm just like, why not? You know, seems like a good idea. And I did put in for, you know, more F40s, more Go Transit locomotives, MP40. I doubt they'll ever do the MP40 because of the fact that Trueline did it, even though Atlas owns that tooling now. But I think that if anybody's going to do it, it should be them. And even, you know, with Bachmann doing the Charger, a lot of people said it should have been Rapido that did that. And I agree. But in some cases, you know, not one company can't do literally everything. You know, there's always going to be other companies that are going to step up and say, hey, you know, maybe I'll do this one or whatever. Which it might not be a company that you normally purchase from or that you're fond of. But I think it's still better than nothing at all, because who knows how long it would take for other companies to do it, right? It's tough to say. That's why I got the Bachmann Charger, despite the price point and the many other things. Because I doubt I'll see another company do it anytime soon or at all. But if one of the biggest issues with doing a locomotive like the MP40 is working with, let's say, Metrolinx, because Metrolinx, they're apparently very difficult to deal with. And negotiations over, doing certain models and whatnot, I don't think that they're as open as like, some of the other rail car or locomotive manufacturers where they want so much money per are. Metrolinx is kind of crazy like that, where they want X amount of dollars per unit, and it's like, well, how are you supposed to make money off of that? At that point, you're just making it to make Metrolinx money. But Rapido does have a good handle on dealing with, Go Transit. So that's why I would think that they would kind of be a shoe-in for getting a decent model made of the MP40. Who knows? It's probably why they did the F-59, because they know that the MP40 might be too far off. Yeah, Anthony, you're totally right. They go to both Toronto and Montreal. The one that goes to Toronto, they call that the Maple Leaf. What's the other one called? I forget what the other one's called, the one that goes to Montreal. But it's not via rail equipment. It's still Amtrak equipment. They just go back and forth from Montreal to New York and Toronto to New York. That's going to need a second coat for sure. Working with yellow is one of the tougher colors, I think. Need a bit more work. Well, that being said, I think that my 2 hours are up. RS3 is one of my favorites. Bowser should be in April. Yeah, RS3s are nice too. There's an O&R one that they're doing, but it's that one is way too old for me. Yeah, Adrianac. Yeah, the Maple Leaf and the Adrianac. All right, Floyd, you have yourself a good one. We're just we're gonna round things up here. call it a day because I gotta go wash my hands and yeah. Okay, well, that looks okay. Neat. So yeah, you can see I kind of weathered that a bit, and I just got to do the railing on there, and then I'll do actual weathering powders and whatnot on there at a later time. Can I fix this? I need a new camera too. That's on my list. There we go. I didn't get to do the trees, but I have trees that are ready for whenever. I don't know if you guys are tired of seeing me flock the trees yet or not, because I've done. By the time I'm done these ones here, I'll have at least done 50 trees. So that's a whole box. Plus, there's a whole extra stuff in the box for like bushes and whatnot that I haven't even touched yet. So hopefully, I can do a bit more with that soon too. But other than that, I do want to thank everybody for watching today, and stick around because we've got Mike and James tomorrow night for Off the Tracks Monday, and then we'll be back here Thursday night for GDO After Dark. No plans yet. I mean, there's plans, but not much that I can talk about. And then, of course, we'll be back here next week, next Sunday morning, and we're going to continue. We've got so much stuff to build, so much stuff to work on, and March is right around the corner, so I have to get some of this stuff done just so that I can move on to my wood kits, because we're going to be doing that real soon. But I'm Go Beer Go Home. Thank you very much for watching, and have yourselves a pleasant Sunday.